There is a TV series on Disney Plus which is called What If? I don't know if any of you know it. But basically, it tells the stories of some Marvel superheroes and how this story could have changed if some different decisions were made at very crucial points. And this is exactly what we're going to do all together here on stage today. So keep your phone close to you. You will help me progressing with this story. Okay? So, once upon a time, there was an operator, new to his job, in an industrial facility. His company was far from being an innovative one. They were not willing to spend money and time to improve things. After all, they've always done things that way. So, why should anything change? Okay? It's morning. The operator starts running his daily job at the industrial facility, but at some point he notices that one of the machines is slowing down. He waits till some moments, he doesn't know what's happening, and then the machine displays an alarm. Alarm 25. So now, what would you do if you were him? Let's proceed and let's decide together. So these are the three possibilities. A, asking for help from other colleagues. B, looking for the machine manual. C, calling for assistance immediately. So let's go now to Slido, make your choice. And let's see what comes up and how the story will continue. So we would all look for help at the moment. It's getting better for the machine manual. If there's one close to the machine, that's probably the easiest and quickest. Usually people are quite busy. Again, we need help from colleagues. Let's do 10 more seconds, and then we stop it. I would say the first one is still winning. All right, I would stop it here. So with a good 50%, we ask for help. So let's go back to our presentation. Let's click yeah. So let's read it together. His colleagues are unsure, dumb. He realized he wasted more time, and his manager won't be so happy. So they suggested to look for the manual, right? But where's the manual, and what is it called? So luckily, he's a young guy, and he has the computer at his hand. He opens the laptop, and at least the documents are available in a digital form. So after half an hour of research, and we can continue, he manages to decode the alarm. It's actually an error with a problem with the thermocouple. Now, at this point, okay, the thermocouple of what? Again, he needs for assistance. So this time, luckily, after lunch, one of his colleagues makes himself available and tells him that there is actually a problem with the welding bar of the machine. So now, again, let's continue the story together. What would you do now? So A, translate the manual again to identify the component and see what are the maintenance activities that I have to perform. B, again, calling for assistance. C, leaving the job. It's only the first few days and the stress level is already too high for his liking. I hope the last one stays at 0%, but you never know. No, okay. Somebody would leave the job.
The last one was too funny.
So again, calling for assistance, that could be helpful. Again, if somebody is available, because, well, most of you here are either machine builders or end users, and you know how busy people are while they're working. So they're not always able to support others, also depending on the company, on the process. But yeah, you still want to call for assistance. We are 39 people voting, like 5 more seconds, and then I would select the B. Yeah, let's go ahead. So he calls the customer service, but they can help, not until tomorrow. So he decides to continue on his own. So the problem is that he's not mother tongue, he's not German, so it takes a while for him to actually be able to read the manual and understand what to do. So he keeps reading all the information, and then after an hour, he understood that the problem, well, it's related to the welding machine, and he needs to dismantle the component. He does that, he realizes that the component is totally worn out, so there is absolutely nothing to do apart from calling the purchasing department. So he calls once, they're not picking up. He calls twice, they're not picking up again. He calls 3 times, it's almost 6 p.m., so they're about to leave the office, but somebody picks up. He explains the problem. He says that there is no piece in stock, that they really have to reorder that, and the purchasing department answers, well, we'll do it first time tomorrow morning, no worries. Wait for a call, we will let you know. All right, so he goes back home. He's not that happy, but the day after he comes back to the industrial plant. He gets a call from the purchasing department, and they say, hey, we're quite lucky because the warehouse of this machine builder quite close to us, so we will be able to receive this component by the end of the day. You will be able to mount it, and deal done. Perfect. So this is actually the end of the first story. It has an happy ending. Nothing disastrous happened. Maybe you were expecting something different. But we all know that the whole story could have gone much smoother. So let's look at the 3 main limitations. First one, high complexity in accessing internal knowledge. And this is because we have so many different manuals in many different languages. It's very difficult to understand exactly which section we have to read and where to get the information. Then, secondly, ineffective training tools. Yes, because probably most of the operators get the manual to read, they get some front classes, but it's not that they really manage to remember everything. So we can say that these training ways are quite ineffective. Last but not least, unfortunately, and not so good after-sales support from the machine builder, because instead of being proactive and telling, hey, maybe you might have a problem, they ignore it till the very end. So unfortunately, that's how it is in many different realities every day. But now, let's go back to the story and see how this situation could be improved. So again, it's morning, our operator goes to the industrial plant, he's performing his daily activities, the machine is slowing down, there is an alarm popping up. It's the alarm 25. But this time, luckily, he has a virtual assistant embedded in the HMI of the machine, and he can ask information immediately about the specific alarm. So we can proceed with the story. I decided to call it Galarobi because this is actually Robino Galandrino, one of our customers. And he's saying, hi Galarobi, what does the alarm 25 correspond to? And he's providing a quite detailed answer, so later we can also read it together. But he explains that it's related to the welding bar, so that's where he has to concentrate his effort. And then he also has to translate the message in Italian because, as said, he's not German mother tongue, his English is so-so, so he prefers to read that in Italian. So we've seen that compared to before, wait a second, if we can stop the video, okay. Compared to before, we took just a few minutes to get to understand that the problem was related to the welding bar. And this is possible to one of the technologies that everybody's talking about. We were also talking about in the previous presentations, which is generative AI. And this specific solution, well, the one that you could see before, is actually a solution which is able to process internal documentation of like manuals of machines, manuals of components, maintenance procedures, all the tickets that the customer service receives and then answer to, and is able to provide an answer in just a few seconds in more than 100 languages. And this is a huge advantage. Now, we go back to the story. Actually, that would have been the video, so you've seen a part of how the story continues. Let's stop here for a moment. What is possible to do, maybe we can also look at it together outside, is then accessing also the IIoT solution. For example, the operator could have a screen close to the machine, so it's able to analyze the machine data coming directly from the PLC in real time. It could check all the alarms that were active on the machine. It could also see how recurrent they were, how long that it lasted, and then he can go to the preventive maintenance section and have a look at all the components, see that actually the component is totally worn out, create automatically the bill of materials, select other components, so to optimize the reorder process in case there are multiple ones which are not in a good condition, then write an email to the purchasing department, having the PDF attached with a whole list of components, and then the job is done. It's a much, much more efficient way. Then at this point, well, let's go back to the story again. Our operator wrote to the purchasing department, he forwarded the email with the list. The purchasing department calls an hour later, now it's like after lunch, and say, hey, there is a warehouse just around the corner, so we can actually deliver the piece by the end of the day. He wants to be prepared, so let's continue. And he decides, instead of reading the manual, to watch a 3D visual documentation. So in this case, there is the possibility via API to access to a different tool, which is focused on 3D manuals. And this way, it's possible to understand step by step how to dismantle the component, how to mount it again, and the whole process can be learned in a much more effective way. So, of course, the end of the story is that he receives the component and is able to change and do everything and resolve the whole situation by the end of the day. Okay, next slide. Now we can make a comparison between what I said before, so the limitations, and what are actually the opportunities coming from those. So first one, immediate access to the internal knowledge. Because if we have the possibility to correlate different knowledge sources and access them in any language, we're going to save plenty of time, for sure. Then, the importance of an effective training approach. Because we realize that reading the manuals or frontal classes are definitely not enough, while watching a 3D visual procedures or engaging with some interactive test, or even better, being able to perform some maintenance activities in virtual reality is definitely much more effective, and at the same time we can also train muscular memory. And then, again, last but not least, after says support from the machine manufacturer, because these kind of solutions can be either implemented directly by the end user or can be offered as after-sales services directly from the machine builder as, for example, service level agreement. Then, on this specific topic, well, we also have Marius here, who is definitely an expert. So this is servitization, and we could keep talking for like at least 2 hours. But the only thing that I want to add is all these problems that we've seen today, well, in my story, could have been easily avoided. And this is actually a big opportunity for the machine builder to get much closer to the customers, but also build additional margin, because it wouldn't be only selling physical assets, but digital services as well. So it could actually do that in different ways. If you think about real-time remote monitoring, it could actually check the asset and see if there is any problem occurring in that specific moment, while it could also organize all the maintenance activities in advance so that the machine doesn't stop for like 2 days and there is no possibility to change a component. So there are many different possibilities. And this is obviously Industry 4.0, so how innovative companies are really trying to offer or implement technologies to improve their business processes. And that's also the reason why we are all here today, right? So we have solution providers like us that are trying to support their customers to generate value out of these solutions. We have machine builders that are trying to help their customers to be close to them. And then we have end users that are actually trying to solve the problems that I was showing during my story. But we all have a very big advantage here because we are all part of the Open Industry 4.0 Alliance, which main goal is to promote progress and innovation and provides us a way to find solutions to problems not as a single company, but as a team all together. Thanks a lot.
And right here you see a picture of our last all-members convention.
In September.
In September at SAP.
Yeah.
You are also in this picture somewhere.
I am there, on the very left, covered by somebody, but I see myself.
Many faces here that we were seeing again on both sides. Yeah, so I think we have some Slido questions now. Adrian, you want to try the nose again, or shall we look at the questions?
Let's look at the question.
Let's look at the questions that
or
the
will
two
someone
of you...
see the nose?
So, what is AI that isn't ML, machine learning? You want to answer this question?
What is AI which is not machine learning?
Maybe we have to ask Markus Grum here in the room if he's
here.
But
I can also answer the question. So it was also displayed in the presentation before. Machine learning is basically a subgroup of artificial intelligence. So we can actually go one step further. We have generative AI, we have machine learning, and then we have artificial intelligence, which is a much broader topic, let's say. I don't know if that answers the question, how those two are related, but machine learning is only a part of AI.
That was a very nice explanation. Do you want to add something to it?
I'm just thinking about a real example where I think that the question behind that is machine learning is a kind of term, but what is not machine learning, but still AI on the something between? But they would agree on the explanation. Just trying to find a good example, but I can't now.
So the next question is, can you imagine to guide operators via AI to run IIoT released processes more efficiently? Who would like to answer this?
So I didn't understand exactly what you mean by run IIoT release processes. What's a process released by IIoT? Is any of you here? I can tell you how processes, so when you get to have your IIoT solution, there are actually ways also to make this data actionable, actually, as I was explaining yesterday. So, for example, if we think about an automotive company, their production process is actually very fast, so they don't have the time to go to the application or maybe to formulate some question on the virtual assistant because everything has to be much smoother. So what we were also considering to do was basically triggering notification as soon as some alarms happen. So if you get that famous alarm 25, instead of writing, hey, what is it? You get immediately notification and say, hey, this is a problem related to the welding bar, have a look immediately there. So this is what's feasible, and that's an example. I don't know if this answers the question.
Yeah, and I would see, like, if we think about IoT as data flying around, AI can definitely help for that, like understand the data, right? So we did like a small experiment where we thought, okay, let's bring data coming from sensors, but we don't know what the sensors are sending. So what is kind of sensor? We just take the data coming from that sensor and try, based on that, identify what it is, right? So we don't need to think about to mark and classify all the data. That could be an idea where AI can definitely support.
And the next question is for Margarita. Specifically, can you describe some prerequisites to get such a service running? What has to be available from the technology point of view?
So it depends on what of the two. So if we talk about industrial IoT, there are many different possibilities and also many different architectures that can be implemented. As far as my company is concerned, we do it on both edge and cloud level. So we usually collect the data, aggregate the data, then store them in the database and push them to the cloud on an industrial PC. So there is usually like a physical asset that is used to do that. And then, of course, you need your own environment, which could be Azure, AWS, Cumulosity, MindSphere, whatever. But that's it. Then, of course, the edge can be also on a virtual machine, so that's also feasible. It can be easily readapted to many different situations. I've seen different cases. while for the generative AI, so the virtual assistant, is not that you actually need much. Of course, you could have your IoT platform, so again, your tenant on Azure or AWS, where you can store your data. But apart from your manuals in probably nice format and the environment, there is nothing more needed. So the implementation is usually quite smoother.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure we have any more questions. If you want to contact Francesca, sorry, Margherita. The first time I say Francesca, because I read it.
It's my
Margherita,
name.
she goes for Margherita. You can contact her.
Yeah, you can write me an email. I'm still there if you want to talk to me later, or you can add me on LinkedIn. I'm quite social.
Yeah. Okay, thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Adrian, and Margherita.